Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is the brand new film hitting theaters today, June 2nd, 2023. It is the sequel to the 2018 film, the breakthrough hit of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Once again, Shameik Moore returns as the titular Miles Morales, who is now finally established as the one and only Spider-Man of his universe after successfully saving the multiverse back in the 2018 film. He's skipping classes, though. There's a lot of things going wrong until Gwen, played by Hailee Steinfeld once again, comes back into his life as the multiverse is in trouble. Gwen now is a part of a ragtag multiverse team, which is led by Miguel O'Hara, who was from the post-credits scene in the last film, voiced by Oscar Isaac. Jessica Drew, a new character played by Issa Rae, and Spider-Punk, played by Daniel Kaluuya. There are also other Spider-Man people as well. Also, Peter B. Parker returns, played by Jake Johnson. As usual, Miles has an up and down relationship with his parents. There is Rio Morales, played by his mom, played by Luna Lauren Velez, and Jefferson Davis, who is Miles' dad, played by Brian Tyree Henry. Also, the new big villain is the Spot, played by Jason Schwartzman, who ties into the original film and once needs Miles for a specific reason. The film is 2 hours and 20 minutes long and is PG. Welcome back to a brand new movie review here on Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dinnerberg. We're talking Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, one of the most anticipated movies of the summer 2023. So if new to the channel, please subscribe, ring the bell. I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, movie rankings, and a box office breakdown show every Monday that will be back to very much weekly every Monday, starting this upcoming Monday. Comment down below. First of all, have you seen the first film? Where does this rank for you in Spider-Man films? If you've seen it, if you have not seen it, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. On Monday as well, I will be doing a spoiler-filled review for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So even if you want to talk about spoilers, save those comments for my spoiler review this upcoming Monday video. Also, please like the video, guys, the thumbs up button. So overall, the first Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, is one of my favorite movie theater experiences of my life. Back in 2018, I think they still kind of do this. Fandango used to do, this is also before like really AMC A-List. Fandango did early access screenings for fans where one showing at one time, I did this for Shazam, Doctor Sleep, where you would see the movie in one showing at one theater and not in all theaters across the country. And I saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2 weeks in advance for its release. And it was a movie that I literally had zero expectations for coming into it. I saw it with my brother. We're both big Spider-Man geeks. And walking into the movie, I just didn't feel anything. And it was the most surprising, refreshing movie I've ever seen in a movie theater, where I had zero expectations. And it was the first time I really sat in a theater where not having that expectation of greatness and feeling something really special. And that's what I felt watching the first movie. I've seen the first movie a billion times. It is an extremely special movie, one of the best Spider-Man films of all time, one of the best superhero films, one of the best animated films of all time. So obviously it's very impossible to top that, which I think this movie does, which we'll get into it right now. So I'll go through my positives, the negatives, and then my score. So the biggest positive for me in this movie is that it is the most visually appealing, jaw-dropping, revolutionary animated film that I have ever seen in a movie in my entire life. Now, obviously, films like Toy Story and the Renaissance of Disney, they're revolutionary. I think this is the next step in revolutionary with animation. I think it's a genre now, as it's been talked about a lot, that it's very much just made for the lowest amount of smartness, which is very much ages 6 and below these days. And I was growing up with the heart and the prime of Pixar. Yes, they were made for kids, but also for adults, and really good messaging that holds up for these kids as they grow up. And I feel like in animated films, it's been missing. I think that this franchise has done is that, yes, kids can have a blast with all the action, but it's a film that has a lot of deep messaging. It has a lot of heart, storylines that I think a lot of people can relate to. As I said, from a visual point of view, this is the most visually appealing animated film I've ever seen, visually engaging animated film. Yes, the animation style is back from the first film, but we get to see a lot of different worlds, a lot of different spider people, and with that comes each of those styles is its own thing. Each spider person really does have their own unique animation style. Each world has completely different animation style. and you can just feel the heart and soul of the animators who made this movie. They put a lot of love, heart, and soul into putting this movie together, and it was extremely special to watch. Even if you're not even a fan of the plot, on the basis of the animation, it's at least a 3.5, 4-star movie just on its animation alone. It's something that I cannot wait to rewatch. I can't wait to pick up a lot of Easter eggs as well. I think another thing that I wasn't surprised about is that Gwen Stacy gets a huge upgrade and a lot more screen time in this film than she did in the first film. That's because of the storyline, which they have not even shown the trailer, which I'm not even going to hint at, but Gwen has a major storyline in this movie, which really does, in a good way, complement Miles's through line. At times, they're really co-leads of the movie. Gwen really is the main character of the first act of the film, and then Miles really takes over from there. But I do love the Miles and Gwen relationship, and I do the friendship that they built from the first film. And I think this movie overall, for me, there's a lot going on. It's a multiverse film. There's a lot of different characters going on. And yes, not everyone's going to make an impact and have a big storyline. But for me, the overwhelming, overarching storyline makes sense. The movie does take its time to explain itself, not in a forced way, but in a really good way as well. The situations that they're setting up and the stakes are really clear, and I'm really happy that this movie really didn't spoil themselves in the trailer about what really is going on, why Miguel is going after Spider-Man, why Spot, who in the trailers is kind of a joke, and Spot is very essential to this movie, voiced by Jason Schwartzman. If you go into the new cast, Oscar Isaac, who again was in the post credits of the last film, but he is fantastic in this movie as Miguel O'Hara. Miguel is relentless in this movie. He has a goal. He is controlling the entire Spider-Man multiverse, and he's not going to let anything stop in his way for a particular reason. And the motivation, Miguel is a very focused character, obviously from a writing point of view, but for the character itself is focused on doing one thing, that's protecting all Spider people. And Oscar Isaac really brings that ferocity in the voice performance, and also the visual obviously really helps. Issa Rae's Jessica Drew is also very good. Karan Soni as Spider-Man Indio is a lot of fun. Loved Daniel Kaluuya as Spider-Punk, which I do think will be one of the most revolutionary animated characters of this century. It is genius what they do with Spider-Punk in this movie. Yes, Kaluuya finally has to be British in a pretty big movie, but overall, it's him. His voice is great, but it's actually the animation style. He's a really cool character that I could watch a whole movie just with him. Jason Schwartzman was perfect casting as the Spot in this movie, who has surprisingly had a lot more to do in this movie than I thought. And obviously the returning cast does a great job. Shameik Moore, Haley Steinfeld, Brian Tyree Henry, Luna Lauren Valles, and also the parents have a lot more to do in this one than they did in the first film. Because again, Miles is still recovering from Aaron's death in the first film. He's still trying to become a mixture of Spider-Man and still being a normal kid who wants to go to college. And he is growing up. He does look a lot older than he did in the last film. There's a lot of special dynamics as well. As I said, there's the Gwen and Miles relationship, the relationship between Miles and his family, Miles and Peter B. Parker. The dynamics also between Jessica Drew and Miguel O'Hara are really interesting in the film. There's obviously a lot that I can't talk about, which I really can't wait to talk about in the spoiler review. Another heads up, this was officially announced as a part back a couple of years ago. It was supposed to be Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 and then Part 2. And then now they're doing, instead of a Part 1, saying it's Part 1, Part 2, Across the Spider-Verse, and then Beyond the Spider-Verse next year. But this clearly is Part 1 of a 2-part major storyline. This movie still works on its own beautifully, but I think it can really become maybe the best Spider-Man film, depending on how great the next film is, which comes out in March. So maybe this is absolutely a special film from a writing point of view. It's just as clever as the original film. The animation for me is even better than it was in the 2018 film with its revolutionary style of all these different worlds and characters. The performances are really good. The characters have clear motives that make a lot of sense. There's a lot going on, it still feels like a very focused, overarching story. The stakes are high. I just really, really just love this movie. My only nitpick with this movie is that I do think it's a tad too long. It is 2 hours and 20 minutes long, which is a lot more longer than the first one. The first one was at an hour 57. So 23 more minutes of this movie. And while, again, I had a blast throughout the entire film, there were some points where it felt like it was kind of going a bit too long. I think some people who might have an issue with the movie because it's at times a setup movie might think this might be a bit too long for a setup movie. But that's literally my only nitpick with this movie. I think this is a fantastic film. I think it's slightly better than the original film. I just felt there were more stakes, more on the line. Characters had more motivations, and all of them really had motivations in this movie. Even the characters who didn't really have much to do. I am chomping at the bit for Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse coming out in March of 2024. Just overall, a fantastic film that I cannot wait to rewatch and see all the Easter egg videos. So I'm going to give Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I'm going to go 97% for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This is one of the best Spider-Man films. I still like No Way Home the most, just because it's my favorite movie theater experience of all time. But overall, again, this really does make me feel like a kid again. I'm a young kid, and I'm just really happy that these movies are being made now. So that's my thoughts on Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Like the video, subscribe, comment. More videos are coming. I'll talk my full spoiler breakdown of the movie on Monday. We'll give into all the specifics that I can't really talk about right now. As well as my box office breakdown show on Monday. We'll break down the box office for this movie. So thanks for joining me. See you guys soon.